The ship Nereid drifted through the black ocean between stars like a ghost condemned to wander. A relic of the Terran exodus, she had once ferried thousands in cryosleep, but now she held fewer than 100. Too many to abandon, too few to matter. Captain Alara Voss stood alone on the bridge, bathed in the cold light of distant suns. Her face, ageless in the artificial gravity, held the calm severity of a woman who had seen centuries pass and refused to bend to them. Her hand rested on the console, fingers curled as if around a phantom's throat. She watched the gas giant ahead, Firion 6, its storms violent and endless, pulsing with unnatural luminescence. They weren't supposed to be here. The route was off-path, unlogged, and unsanctioned. She had diverted the Nereid with coded overrides no one dared question. Not outwardly. Below decks, whispers stirred. Mutiny danced on tongues. But no one had the strength to challenge the captain. Not since the last one who tried had gone into the airlock alone, smiling like she knew a secret. Voss whispered into the stillness, her voice flat as vacuum. Approach vector locked. The AI answered in a soft feminine tone, eerily similar to her own. Confirmed. Distance to anomalous orbit, 90,000 kilometers. No intercept detected. Good. She walked away from the controls and toward the viewport. Beneath her boots, the deck vibrated with the thrum of the aging engines. They were tired, like everything else, like everyone else. But they would hold. They had to. Out there, past the last rings of Firion 6, shimmered a structure that wasn't supposed to exist. It had no name, no registry, and no history. Just coordinates she'd carried in her mind for over 100 years. She had first seen it in the dreams. Back when the war still raged between Earth's last colonies and the Aegir front. Back when she still believed in orders, in protocol, in the chain of command. The dreams began after her ship, the Zephyr, rescued a drifting pod off the dead world of Halcyon Prime. The occupant had been comatose, the cryo unit scrambled by radiation. But inside was a man whose face she could never forget. Tall. She never understood why she freed him. He had no records. His DNA didn't match any system. He claimed no memory. But his voice, soft, strange, threaded with melodies of languages she'd never heard, echoed in her like something remembered, not learned. And in her dreams, he led her to the thing in space that pulsed like a wound in time. The tower, he called it. A beacon, a prison, a heart. The words changed every time. Then he vanished. Right off the deck of the Zephyr, without a trace. The cameras glitched. The logs corrupted. Only she remembered. And they said she was mad. Alara didn't protest when they demoted her. Didn't fight when they sent her to command the derelict Nereid, a vessel cursed with mechanical failures and doomed assignments. They thought they were burying her. But she understood now it was the only way she could reach the tower again. No questions, no oversight, and now, as Firion 6 glared like a swollen eye in the void, she was finally here. She turned from the viewport and activated the internal comms. Ensign Drell, meet me at Docking Bay 3. Prep Shuttle 12. There was a pause. Then, yes, Captain. Right away. Alara moved swiftly through the corridors, past silent crew who averted their eyes. They could feel it now, that itch behind the skull, that sense that something was watching. The closer they drew to the tower, the more they would feel it. But she had learned not to fear that sensation. When she arrived, Drell stood by the shuttle, suited up, too eager by half. Young, bright-eyed, loyal to a fault. She didn't like him for this mission. But she needed a second, and he was obedient. We're flying blind, she said as she sealed her own suit. Once inside, comms may cut out. If I tell you to run, you run. No questions. Yes, Captain. They boarded the shuttle. As they launched, the Nereid dwindled behind them, just another speck against the great void. The tower swelled ahead. It looked organic. That was the first thing that always struck her. Not constructed, but grown. Spiraling columns of iridescent black matter, shifting subtly even in the stillness of space. Lights flickered along its spine, patterns without rhythm or meaning, like the neural firings of a sleeping god. As they approached, the shuttle began to shudder. Gravimetric distortions increasing. Drell reported, voice tight. Alara reached over and dampened the manual controls. Let it pull us in. The shuttle sank into the tower's orbit, then passed through what should have been a solid wall. The structure shimmered, allowed them entry, and reformed behind them. Drell's breathing quickened. Alara said nothing. Inside was not vacuum. The shuttle landed on a platform suspended in an atmosphere of thick violet mist. Beyond, stairways spiraled upward into darkness, and below them, the same. An endless descent into a pulsing core. Everything in the tower seemed to breathe. They disembarked. What is this place? Drell whispered. Alara walked ahead. A mirror. A memory. A lock. Captain? She stopped. The walls around them pulsed with light. Symbols formed and vanished. She reached out and pressed her hand against the surface. It was warm. I saw this place before I came here, she said. In dreams. In whispers. Before I met him. Drell frowned. Him. But then a shape emerged ahead. Tall. Unchanged. Ageless. Dressed in the same pale garments he wore when she found him adrift centuries ago. His eyes, black, endless, met hers, and something old stirred in her chest. I knew you'd come back, he said, voice a song carved in sorrow. Drell raised his weapon. Captain. What the hell is that? Alara didn't stop him. The weapon discharged. The energy struck Tal. Passed through him. He didn't flinch. You don't need him, Tal said, eyes fixed on her. You only ever needed to remember. Drell staggered back. We need to leave. Now. Alara looked from Tal to the boy, then back again. No, she said quietly. We're not leaving. Tal extended his hand. She took it. The tower responded. Lights flared. The mist parted. Pathways unfolded around them. She saw echoes of herself walking other versions of these same halls. In other times, other lives. In some, she was the captain. In others, the prisoner. In all, Tal stood at the center. The truth bloomed inside her like a second heart. The tower wasn't built. It was summoned. A gravity well for memory and pain, drawing in those who had touched it before. She had touched it long ago. Before she was Alara. Before she was even human. You never told me what I was, she said. Her voice thin in the storm of recollection. You were the first to enter the flame, Tal said. The first to be remade. Drell screamed. Alara turned. He was on his knees. Shadows poured from his eyes, his mouth. The tower was consuming him, not physically, but across the layers of self. It was rewriting him. She moved to help, but Tal stopped her. He doesn't belong here, he said. He's still bound by the shell. He's just a kid. He's a reflection. Nothing more. Alara clenched her fists. Then what am I? Tal smiled. You're the fire that forgot it could burn. He stepped backward into the air, and didn't fall. He ascended. As he did, the tower brightened, and Alara felt herself drawn upward too. Her body lifted without effort. The platform vanished. Drell screamed again, and was gone. It didn't hurt. Not in the way she expected. What came instead was release. Layers of memory peeled away. She saw herself as a soldier, pilot, a child beneath Earth's shattered moon. a priestess in a temple that breathed, a spark in the dark before stars. All of them were her. None of them were real. Tal was beside her now, drifting without motion. The light around them bent inward, folding time into a spiral. "I remember now," she said. "You were the one I left behind. You had to," he said, "to become what you are. Then why come back?" He touched her cheek. "Because even stars get lonely." Alara laughed, felt strange. She hadn't laughed in decades. Below them, the tower pulsed faster. The outer shell began to collapse inward. A star was being born, not of matter but of memory. A singularity of identity. Everyone who had ever touched the tower would be drawn here. Reunified. Refined. She understood now why the dreams had never left her. Why the flame inside her refused to die. She was the tower's first ember. And now she would become its last. Outside, the Nereid picked up massive energy fluctuations. The crew scrambled to disengage, but their engines failed. One by one, their systems collapsed. The stars vanished. Only the tower remained, glowing brighter and brighter until all of space seemed to fall into it. And then, silence. Where Firion 6 once swirled, there was nothing. No wreckage. No debris. Just a point of light slowly dimming in the void. The logs would show nothing. No anomaly. No distress signal. No captain. But sometimes, in the silence between transmissions, long-range beacons pick up a voice. A woman's voice, calling not for help, but for remembrance. Calling a name long lost to time. Tal. And sometimes, if you listen close enough, you can hear him answer. With fire.